And we'll go ahead and start the meeting of the Page Unified School District Governing Board on June the 9th. And just in terms of welcome and also setting out some ground rules, Page Unified has chosen to exercise safe social distancing for our meetings by using virtual meeting platform. And the following will be the rules we are using for our meeting. First, we're using Zoom to conduct our meetings. We'll be streaming live to YouTube, which allows for members of the public to view and or listen to the meeting. Prior to the COVID situation, the governing board had a call to the public on its agendas during regular meetings, which allowed members of the public to address them on issues within the jurisdiction of the board. We'd like to provide a method for public comments during our virtual meetings. Members of the public may submit public comments via email to comments@pageud.org. That's comments@pageud.org, no later than Monday by 5 p.m. the day before each regular meeting. All of the meeting procedures will adhere to board adopted procedures to the extent possible. And again, we apologize in advance for any inconveniences that this may cause, and ask for your patience as we navigate in these unprecedented times. So board members, welcome, and we will begin this meeting at 5:05, and we'll start with a roll call. And Sandra, you get to kick us off from your house.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Hi, Sandra Kidman here. Just one little remark. I tried to watch on YouTube, and if you go from the board docs, it's not happening.
All right, if Brian's listening, then let's see if we can get that to happen.
I think, Sandra, that there's a little delay that just happens.
Okay, like how much? Like several minutes?
It was my understanding it was just a few minutes, but I'll check with
try
Brian.
and wait a few minutes and see what happens.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go ahead and proceed with the roll call.
Desiree Fowler, board clerk.
Ed Franklin, board member.
Jamie Perry, member. Rob Warner, superintendent.
I believe, Rob, do you have your mic on?
Rob Warner, superintendent.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Bob Candelaria, board president, and also joining us, Lynn Hoffman, our board executive assistant. So we're going to start our meeting off with a moment of silent meditation. And I'd just like for us to really include in our silent meditation all of our families within the district, at our chapter houses, the reservation. They're still experiencing an awful lot of the residual of COVID. And again, just let's remember that as we start. So join us in a moment of silent meditation. All right, thank you very much. And next on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. And Ed, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible, with
liberty and justice
for all.
Okay, thank you very much. First action item will be the approval of the agenda for this evening's meeting. I'll need a motion and a second.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
I second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. And we're raising our hands so that Lynn can see us, correct? Okay. I don't believe we've seen any statements, or else we would have, you would have contacted me. So we don't have any statements or comments. And next on the agenda is the approval of donations. And those donations, there is I believe one, and it is a contribution to the McKinney-Vento backpack program for $300 from Trophy Real Estate. And so this is an action item. I'll accept a motion in a second.
I make a motion to approve the donation that has presented tonight.
I second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. And before we call for the vote, just like I really appreciate this person's from out of town looking for a place to commit some funds specifically to the Navajo Nation, and they chose the McKinney-Vento backpack program. So thank you very, very much to the Barsness, and they are Trophy Realty. So I appreciate that very much. So we do have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Next on the agenda, under special business, is a presentation on a CSI mini grant. Jeannie Wood.
Governing Board President, Governing Board Member, Superintendent Varner. I'm going to share my screen with you. Will you please let me know if you can see it? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I think we've got it.
Thank you so much. I just want to share some basic information about the Comprehensive Support and Improvement Grant with you tonight. And at the end, I will be asking for a signature from both you, Governing Board President Candelaria, and Superintendent Varner to go out for this competitive grant. Again, the purpose of this grant is to provide additional funding to schools that have been identified as comprehensive support and improvement schools based on the strategies and action steps that they write within their plan. We have 2 schools that are eligible to apply for these grant funds, Manson Mesa High School, as well as Page Middle School, and our deadline for application is June 30th. There's some basic CSI assurances that we must follow. Again, our integrated action plan must include meaningful evidence-based interventions to improve student achievement. We must monitor and update these strategies on a regular basis, at least quarterly. We must ensure that there's effective organization of time for weekly PLC meetings. We must implement written and evidence-based standards curriculum, and observation and feedback protocol must be implemented with fidelity. Here's an example of what they look for when they ask for evidence, ESSA evidence-based practices. They use the ratings of John Hattie, and this is an example of a strong evidence-based rating, meaning that the likelihood is high that it's not by chance that when implementing these strategies and action steps that you will see improvement within schools. There's many of these available, and they are asked to research as a team when they're looking at what it is that they want to purchase for this grant. This is just one example that I wanted to share with you tonight so that you could see it more closely. So again, the effective practice would be to assess students learning frequently. When we talk about waiting until the end to measure something, that's really not an effective way of monitoring along the way to ensure that you are making the progress needed to see improvement. And here would be some examples of what schools could do to make this practice come to light. So again, I wanted to just share that with you briefly. And so when schools are writing their strategies and action steps, especially with our involvement in Project Elevate and the writing of our 90-day plans to help us have incremental growth along the way, I wanted to show you one example of what that might look like. This is the required document that I will need you to sign. Basically, it's just saying that you're in agreement with both of these schools going out for this funding source. Again, they will be writing according to their integrated action plan. Most predominantly within Manson Mesa High School, they're asking for additional professional learning opportunities. They're asking for implementation and time within their weekly PLCs to write plans to move their school forward. At Page Middle School, again, they're asking for time to unpack their curriculum maps in a little different way, and also professional learning opportunities for their teachers. Manson Mesa High School has gone out for this grant successfully the last 2 years. It's in the amount of $20,000 to $25,000 is what they're asking for. It will be around that same amount this time as well. Page Middle School will be written for probably double that amount, or nearly $50,000 for additional support. So this is what I will be asking for, again, both Superintendent Varner and Mr. Candelaria to sign if you're in agreement with us going out for those funds and can uphold the assurances within the grant application. What questions do you have for me?
Board members, any questions?
No
Okay.
question.
Jeannie, I think we have none, so I really appreciate it. So we can take care of that after the meeting, I suspect.
That would be great. Thank you so much.
Next item of business are governing board reports. Who would like to start us off? Governing board?
I have
Any-
nothing.
Okay, Ed?
Just want to make a comment. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Just wanted to make a comment. I've been just real impressed with the dialogue that's been going on from the district office to the board regarding the status of our closure of the summer school upcoming food program, and then how the staff are diligently working on the plan for this coming school year. Kudos for everyone that's been working so hard on that.
Good observation. A lot of work going on, for sure. Thank you, Dee. Ms. Des?
Well, I attended the Page High School drive-through graduation ceremony. That was phenomenal to be a part of. Great celebrations for our Page High School graduates, and looking forward to Manson Mesa High School ceremony as well.
Indeed, and I'll just tag on to that just real quick. I wasn't able to be there, but I listened to the speeches on the radio, which was really kind of cool. And then, of course, they had the announcement of all of the graduates on the radio. But I did hear from several parents. They said one of the benefits, we said, said everybody wanted to walk. I mean, they wanted the normal thing. But they said one of the real benefits was being able to ride along and then also be with their graduate very intimately at the end when they got their certificates. And so they thought that was really, really pretty awesome. But yeah, a great job by everybody that planned it. The high school did just a phenomenal job putting this thing together, and the community showed up, which was really kind of nice. And the wind showed up too, so we were really happy about that. So, but yeah, that was a great job. Ms. Skidman.
Yeah, I just wanted to say congratulations to all our seniors too. I've heard a lot of good positive responses of our drive-through graduation, so that was great. Other than that, I don't have anything right now.
Superintendent's report, comments?
Well, this is it for me. Last of the 5-year board meeting, so my family, I just want to thank everybody for their support over the years, and appreciate everything did for my family. And so good luck and God bless everyone. Graduation was a blast. Des and I had a blast out there, so battling the elements too. But thank you, everyone. That's it.
Yeah, and on behalf of the board, I just want to express our great thanks. Like I said, when a family moves in, you kind of wonder where they're going to be. You became you and your family became just integral to the community and intertwined yourself in every bit of it. And did a lot of hard work over the last 5 years. And so just really appreciate it. Wish you nothing but the best as you move on. And, you got to remember where Paige is, I hope. All right. Very, very good. Next on the agenda, no unfinished business, the consent agenda. And Des, would you go ahead and read the statement?
A copy of the consent agenda is available at the district administration office. All items listed will be considered as a unit by the governing board and will be approved with one motion. There will not be a separate discussion of these items unless a board member requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered as a separate item.
Okay, the consent agenda is an action item. I'll need a motion and a second.
I'll
I
make a
make-
motion. Okay, sorry.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Signify with a high five or thumbs up. Okay, it passes. Next on the agenda is the calendar of events. Des already mentioned the 11th, the graduation for Manson Mesa. And so I think that's about the highlight of the completion of this school year. Any other comments on the calendar of events, or anyone want to point out anything? Okay. Additional agenda items. The first one's an action item, and it's the second reading and possible adoption of revised policy, GCO. I'll need a motion in a second.
I make a motion to pass the agenda item, the second reading and possible adoption of the revised policy GCO.
I'll second it.
Okay, we do have a motion and a second. Dr. Varner.
Yeah, we discussed this item and the next item in our study session. This item has to do with the evaluations of changing the 17 developings down to 8. And that's the only change in this document. So my recommendation is to approve as submitted.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, having none, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Next item, second reading and possible adoption of revised policy IKF. I'll need a motion and a second.
I make a motion to approve the revised as a second reading and possible adoption of revised policy IKF.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Dr. Varner.
Again, this is we discussed this in study session. This is just adding the 0.5 economics class to the high school graduation based on the recommendation from the State Board of Education. My recommendation to approve as submitted.
Okay, any other questions?
No.
Okay. Did someone have something? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Next on the agenda is the approval for the meet and confer proposal for 2020, 2021. This is an action item. I'll need a motion in a second.
I make a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the certified meet and greet proposal for 2020-21.
I second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Dr. Varner.
I want to thank the team, the administrative team, met with the teacher team, and really we've already been able to fulfill 3 of the items that they suggested was the salary raises, the benefits, and of course the blackout days where they have their meetings on the calendar. The 4th item is to participate in the development of calendars in the future years, which is, you want teacher feedback. So again, it was a very easy process this year. I want to thank the teachers and the administrative team. So my recommendation to approve as submitted.
Any comments, questions for Dr. Varner? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. It passes. Item D, revised student achievement teacher job description for 2020 and 2021. Action item. We'll need a motion in a second.
I'll make a motion to approve the revised SAT job description for 20-21.
I second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and Mr. Wallen.
Members of the board, the revisions are reflected in the job description is moving the positions under the supervision of principals and the director of curriculum instruction. We believe that by reporting it at the school site, they'll have greater impact. Second is making sure that we input in the performance criteria, the Beyond Textbooks framework that we're going to be using this year to turn our achievement around to get to that B level.
Okay. Any comments or questions, board members? Okay, hear none. We do have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Item number E, assistant principal positions at Lakeview Primary and Desert View Intermediate. This is an action item. I'll need a motion in a second.
I make a motion to approve the assistant principal position at Lakeview Primary and Desert View Intermediate.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Mr. Wallen.
Mr. President, members of the board, am I coming through good? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. In the recommendation, I gave you again, reemphasizing the data that I presented last time, showing the student principal ratio being the highest at Desert View and Lakeview. And that needs to be considered in terms of positions and also in terms of the demand placed on those principals. What I'm requesting is that we put, if we're going to change the performance levels at the school, each school, we need to up the commitment in terms of leadership. In your packet, I included 3 years of history of the Move On When Reading grant. And for example, with that data, it was a red, blue, and green line. And what it shows you is that over 4 years of pre-test, mid-year benchmarking, and post-test, that by the end of the year, you're still ending up with 40 and 50 and 60% of the kindergartners, first graders, and second graders scoring at risk or approaching benchmark. So the number that really counts is the at benchmark. So for example, in 2019-12, on the second benchmark, you had about 25% of the kids at benchmark. 75% of the kids at mid-year were still below approaching and at risk. Putting that together by adding increased instructional leadership at the site level, that data says we need more leadership. So those assistant principals would assist the principal in building a strong focus on student learning through management of the Beyond Textbooks curriculum framework, AVID, PBIS, multi-tiered levels of support, daily operations, and most importantly, early literacy. One of the things that has me very concerned is the fact that the literacy program is showing such poor results. Second, they would assist the principal to identify and advocate for new practices. We need to revise the PLCs to clarify exactly what each student is learning, monitor that student learning on a timely basis, and then either go into reteach or enrich, making that a data-driven decision model that's being practiced by both the principal and the assistant principal. Also to assist the principal to sustain a culture of high expectations for learning and growth of all students so that we break that pattern that has existed for the past 4 years of 60 and 50% of the students being moved on to third grade and not being able to read. So doing that by supporting the clear and specific measurable goals, looking at professional development, participating in the formal evaluation, and helping teachers collaborate on a weekly basis to use data and plan to meet the learning goals of our students. That's the big piece, is changing that achievement pattern in cooperation with the Beyond Textbooks curricular framework of teaching the standards, and then if students reteach or enrich, depending on what their need is. So there's tremendous amounts of data analysis to do that. And those PLCs need to be very focused weekly in meetings to exactly what each student needs and where to go with that. Thank you.
Board members, questions for Mr. Wallen?
No question, just a comment that I'd like to make. I'm very pleased with the observation evaluation of the presentation that was made.
Are you on mute? I'm sorry, maybe it's just me. Are you on mute?
Yes, I am.
Oh, there you go. Now we can hear you.
Okay, I just said that I'd like to support the idea that just was observed by Mr. Wallen on why we're hiring an assistant, so that we'll be better cared in the observations of things that are being made currently that he just mentioned in his report. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Kidman?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so when I first heard that presentation in our work study session, I was like, yep, oh, sounds good. But I'm really concerned now, as the more I think about it, of the budgetary impact is one thing. And I really would like to make this a budget neutral item, because I'm very concerned of how many students are we going to have next school year? There's no way of telling what our budget's going to be next school year. I mean, Arizona is $1 billion short already. And so I'm having visions of 2009 where we had to cut more than $1 million from our budget, and it was very painful. And according to the stuff provided, this is going to cost us $200,000 more. And then our last what is that called? That thing we got from the state. I'm sorry, I should know the name of the report, but showed that we were already very administrative heavy per students. And so I'm having a hard time with this. And then my question is, what about the student achievement teachers? I thought that was mostly their job. So I was wondering if we can do something that's more budget neutral.
I'm not sure if you're talking to me, I'm not sure what you mean by budget neutral.
Meaning no additional expenses. Like if we're gonna add 2 positions, can we cut 2 positions somewhere else and not do an additional expenditure of $194,000 next year?
Hey, Larry, when you looked at this, I assume you got with the finance representative. So what was the feedback?
I think they reflect what Ms. Kidman is talking about. However, my proposal right now is to use impact aid, which right now we'll be finishing this year with about $4.5 million in the black. I agree with her. We need to cut some positions and we need to work on that, but it's going to take me more time to do that analysis as I provided you of the staffing patterns that we have. And so the question really, budget neutral, yes, we can work toward that. However, the leadership that's needed to change the pattern of learning at those schools is critical. And if that pattern does not increase, I guess there's not a learning neutral solution. Students will still be graduating or moving from 2nd to 3rd grade who can't read, and learn, 60% of them in the at-risk and approaching range. That's what we want to change, and that's going to require a change in a pattern and change in commitment. Always over my 35 years in education, those reports that you're talking about is cited schools in high density areas where there's a need as being administratively heavy, because what you have to do is the first thing that changes achievement is high quality teachers. The second thing that changes achievement is extensive leadership. Those two pieces in combination will accelerate us moving toward that B school. We've got to increase our practice in the school and focus on what we need to create student achievement. And that's going to cost. Bottom line, that's going to cost. So you have to evaluate your cost ratio against those, kindergarten, first and second graders, moving on with 60% of them at benchmark and at risk of not being able to read and do math. That's the balancing act.
And if I'm understanding correctly, Larry, you feel comfortable taking that out of Impact A and for the next year and being comfortable, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Ms. Kidman?
Yeah, so then my question is, you said two things. You said more administration, like more leadership, but what about the teacher part? What are the plans there to improve teachers?
The plans is to implement the PLCs, the professional learning communities, the way they're supposed to be planned. There's 4 questions that they're supposed to be answering every meeting. And in interviews I've conducted with some of the people, that's not what's happening. Those PLCs are going off in all kinds of directions because when you only have one principal, they're only able to monitor one at a time. And there could be 3 or 4 PLCs going on depending on how that organization is put together. That leadership is absolutely critical to be able to focus so that the principal can focus, the assistant principal can focus on creating those clear expectations for learning. So you're taking a benchmarking model that's giving 3 benchmarks to using the BT curricular framework, which is weekly common formative assessments, testing each standard as we go along, and then applying analysis of that data, and then going to reteach or going to enrich. Ideally, as you move through the year, the reteach option should shrink and the enrich option should increase. We go back to the teacher practices and say, wait a minute, for example, Lakeview, they did away with DIBELS a few years ago. There's no phonics program. Well, everything, and I'm not a phonics person. I didn't learn to read by phonics, but I know for my grandkids, for my students, that is a critical piece. So we've got to put that phonics program back in, which means there's going to be new teaching and new training for those teachers in relation to that. By using the BT framework, we're going to be focused on the standards, unwrapping the standards, identifying what it really is asking that student to learn, and then teaching that, then assessing it, and responding to that assessment. That's part of that data-driven decision-making that I talked about. We need to be driven by data on a weekly basis. We can't wait for the second benchmark in December to find out that 60% of our kids still aren't responding to the teaching that's going on. We need to do it weekly. And so that puts intense pressure on the principal, the assistant principal, and the teachers to change to using best practices and moving forward. I've evaluated the Move On When Reading literacy plan that's submitted to the state. That's where I pulled the data from that's showing that it's not working. And so I've already met with both principals and said, if we continue to do this plan, we will continue to get the same results. We've got to back up. We've got to change this plan. We've got to give a very strong literacy focus, which is going to take a lot of work to make that happen.
Any more questions, Ms. Kidman?
No,
Or comments?
I hope it works. I guess we'll find out in a year or two.
Okay, Ms. Kidman, I would say one thing, just because it's something I always say, hope is not a strategy for me, because we can't hope that those kids are going to make it. We have to make them make it. Just a fine tuning point with me. Hope is not a strategy.
I guess my philosophy, my experience with my children is that the teacher makes all the difference. And so I'm not quite as convinced as you are that a assistant principal makes all the difference. So
Now, I agree with you. The teacher makes all the difference. It's the quality of that teacher. Quality time in front of a quality teacher is absolutely necessary. But the second factor that goes into making that teacher successful, according to the research, is leadership. And so by doubling the leadership in the school, we are going to see a dramatic change in the achievement pattern as we move toward that B rating.
well, I hope you're right.
I also have some of the same concerns as Ms. Kidman in terms of budget neutral because of all of the questions out there and the big budget deficit we face in not only this state, but every other state, but Arizona seems to be lagging in a lot of different ways. The charter that we have talked about with Mr. Wallen was to assess our, not only our tools and resources, but also our process. And as I understand it, what we're looking at now is just the first piece of what he's identified as critical. And also what I heard you say, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what I heard you say is that we're not done with the organizational chart. And Ms. Kidman was talking budget neutral. I like budget neutral as well, $193,000. Yeah, it represents about maybe 5% of the impact aid that we'll be getting. But at the same time, and I can't anticipate it at this point because we haven't heard it, whatever your focus is on organizational chart, there may be positions, and I'm not asking you to say yes or no, that we may not need at this point, and that aren't being utilized in the appropriate way. So anyway, that's all I'll say. And like I said, I do have the same concerns, but also the same passion for moving the needle of student achievement. And I know when you and I've had some conversations, I said, I don't want to talk about assistant principal. I want to talk about the function of that particular position and how they're going to impact student learning. Are they going to be they're going to be leading the charge in terms of being able to train in terms of beyond textbooks, getting teachers up to speed. But then the other part is what do the SATs do and how will they function together? And I can see them working in concert. But anyway, those are the comments I have. Any other comments, folks?
Well, what I do want to say is I would like to see nothing better than all of our students reading well
Yes. Yeah.
by third grade. That's not the issue here. That is what I really want to see. I guess I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going to watch this carefully and see what an impact it has.
Yeah. And that's where we're all at, I believe, because we all are after the same thing. And anyway, any other comments, folks? We do have a motion on the table and a second. I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any abstention? Did everyone say yes? Are we unanimous? I think I saw your hand, Mrs. Kidman.
Yeah, reluctantly.
Yes, ma'am. Understand that. All right.
And thank you for giving me that support, members of the board. Thank you, Ms. Kidman, for that challenge. And I will do everything possible to make it budget neutral as we move forward.
Okay, thank you very much. Item number F, administration performance payouts for 2019-2020. I'll need a motion in a second. This is an action item.
I make a motion that we approve the requested administrative payout.
Unmute yourself, please.
I make a motion to approve the requested administrative payout as submitted.
You're still muted.
It's still muted.
Okay,
There
third
you
time.
are. There you go.
Okay, I'm sorry. Here it goes again. Make a motion to approve the request administrative payout as submitted.
Thank you, Mr. McCary. We've got a motion
I'll second it.
and a second. Dr. Barner.
Well, the next couple items are the payouts that we do in June. This was the administrative one. The alternative evaluation was completed by all directors and administrators that were qualified for this. So my recommendation is that we approve as submitted.
Okay, any questions? All in favor, say aye.
No
Aye.
question.
Aye.
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry, apologize. I'm sorry. I wasn't watching my Zoom. Ms. Skidman.
Yeah, okay, so my question is for Mr. Wallen. What are your opinions about having district personnel being on, being paid out for how the school is the individual schools are doing? This has been something that I have not been too happy with for the last few years.
Oh my gosh, you're really putting me on the spot.
Well,
I can tell you that the performance pay as it's defined in state law is for teachers. But I also know that in the districts I've worked in, they also find other ways to do that performance pay for teachers or for administrators. It just depends on how pure you want to be to what the legislation says about that performance pay. It's kind of
Well,
hedging.
I'll just say, and again, I'm stopped short of point of order because we have something that has been proposed by administration to finish, and we're going to be dealing with these things with Mr. Wallen going ahead in the future. Is that okay?
Okay.
All right. We do have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay. The next one is item G, I believe, professional development payouts for 2019-20. Need a motion and a second, please.
I recommend that we can.
Would you unmute yourself, please?
Okay.
There you
all
go.
right,
Perfect.
can hear.
Perfect.
Okay, the governing board approves the professional development payout as being submitted.
I believe that was a motion to approve.
Yes.
Okay. Need a second.
I'll second it.
Okay. We do have a motion and a second. Dr. Varner.
This comes out of 301 pot 013 for professional development, and teachers throughout the district have performed their duties on this, and my recommendation is to approve as submitted.
Okay. Any questions? Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay. Item H, certified performance pay for 2019-2020. Need a motion and a second. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the certified performance pay for 2019-2020.
Thank you. And I believe Ms. McCary was seconding. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. So we have a motion and a second. Dr. Varner.
This is for teachers' performance pay based on the alternative evaluation and 301 plan. All but one teacher completed this. So my recommendation is to approve as submitted.
Okay. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, good. Item I, mentor performance pay for 2019-2020, action item. I'll need a motion in a second.
I make a motion to approve the mentor and performance pay as submitted.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Dr. Varner.
All our new teachers went through that first and second year teachers that go through an induction program are assigned a mentor. The mentor has a checklist that they have to follow. These mentors have completed that checklist and the expectations for the mentor role. My recommendation is to approve as submitted.
Any questions? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item J, revised 2020-2021 school year calendar. This is an action item. I'll need a motion in a second.
Can I
I'll
make a
a-
motion? Oh,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Ms. Kidman, you're on.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the revised calendar for 2020-21.
I'll second her motion.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Dr. Varner.
Study session item again, we're just flipping the October date for the February date. So that's the only change that was made. My recommendation is to approve as submitted.
Okay, any comments or questions? Ms. Kidman, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I would ask that we send out a school messenger on this. Since this is a calendar item we already approved like in February, and to make our parents aware that we made a change so they don't have any surprises. And then with the same thing, I think we back then approved the, what is it called? The preliminary calendar for 21-22.
Yes.
And we need to look at that soon. If we could add that as a future agenda item to look at that soon and make those same kind of adjustments if necessary, or, well, they will be necessary. So
Good recommendation.
that would be my request there.
Yep, very good. Any other comments? Okay, we have the calendar with the motion and the second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, good. And Dr. Varner will make sure we take care of the notification. Okay. Item K, increase to student lunch prices for 2019, 2020. This is an action item. I'll need a motion in a second.
I make a motion to approve the requested increase for student lunch prices for 2020-21.
Thank you.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Dr. Varner.
So based on the ADE guidance, school lunch prices will go up a nickel. The good news is most of our kids are free and reduced, so they won't feel that impact. The flip side of that is that extra nickel will come back to us through reimbursements to our food program. So my recommendation is to approve as submitted.
All right, any questions?
Yeah, so is our new price what, 310 or 305?
305.
305.
305, okay.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay. The next one is a approval of compensation for a classified exempt continued education. Need a motion and a second for this as an action item.
Make a motion to approve that.
Make a motion to approve the additional compensation as being requested.
Thank you.
I second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Dr. Varner.
Well, we always are looking to compensate our classified folks for obtaining a degree. Currently, there is no trigger mechanism to do that. This will resolve part of that issue. There's other compensation issues that we need to look at for classified folks in the future, but this will take care of the classified exempts who are seeking to continue to increase their education. That just adds a positive impact on our school district. So my recommendation is to approve as submitted.
Okay. Any questions, board members? Comments? Okay. Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Future agenda items. I don't know, we have a list, I think. But
I have none.
thank God. As usual, we can submit our future agenda items. If someone has something on their mind now, I know Ms. Kidman, you suggested one for the calendar coming up,
Yes,
so that
you.
we put it on there. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything? If not, again, we can go through Ms. Hoffman or myself for any future items that we would like on the agenda. All right. Come to item number 10. Action
That's your
item.
favorite item, Bob.
I know, but you know what? I'm gonna
I'll
let
make a
someone else.
motion, we adjourn.
I second that motion.
We have a motion and a second, and all in favor say aye. Aye. Board members, thank you so much. Getting through this agenda, and let's keep on the move. It's all about student achievement. So thank you.